Hi, everybody. This is Marilyn. Do we have any audio? The audio is good. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. This is Marilyn, and it is noon, time for the noon edition of Welcome to My World. This is Thursday, I believe. Yes, it is Thursday, the 3rd of March. And I had to run out and take care of some errands this morning, and I wish I had posted that in the room. I was in a hurry to get out and get back because the Marilyn indicator worked just perfect on crude oil. As soon as I leave, there is a great trend. You can count on it. And that sure seems to be the case today. It looks like we've had some nice movement in the bonds. They chopped around for a while, but they did take off. We've got all of the indices just about the same. Gold has had a nice trend, and bonds have gone up. If you are interested in trading gold, you might want to monitor the 6A, the Australian dollar futures, because they tend to trade together like the CAD trades with crude oil. But anyway, we have this morning we had the VIX right around 17 and change. It's dropped below that now. We'll have to see what that portends for us. Brent seems to still be holding its own, so crude oil has hit over 35 both today and yesterday, and that's probably a good thing for the producers, in particular in the U.S., because they really got hammered. I remodeled my my camera space here yesterday afternoon, and if you're wondering why I'm not using the volume, etc., I am on the series of charts I use to trade on, and I left the volume and made it a little bigger on this 10-minute, but I had to take the volume off of these other charts, which I definitely depend on because of space. I get these things too small and then nobody can see what's happening. But yesterday, one of the things I wanted to call to your attention is I'm trying to get a little more familiar with this alchemy chart and noticing how well it will keep you in a trend. I'm not ready to use it for entries. I like my entries off of the diagnostic. But if you followed the rules, even with this E that formed this morning, about what time was that? About it was just about the time I left. Right here at 9:50. If you followed the rules are that your initial stop goes 5 ticks below the P. But you did get a green MVP arrow here, and while it fiddled around, this magnet 3440 has been a significant magnet. It's also the midline, exactly the midline of the ICE, the blue dashed line on ICE. So that was a pretty significant level, and the bus driver seemed to drive back and forth across that quite a little bit and then took off. But you could take this with the idea of the first take profit perhaps being right here at settlement. But if you notice, if you were following the alchemy and trailing with the MVP over here, or even on the diagnostic chart, this just trailed right on up. My take profit on this would have been right here at the high of this uh, range channel, which is also yesterday's high. And then if you were trailing your stop pretty tight, you could probably have gotten it up here to the deviation level. But these price levels that are marked on these charts, they're automatic. They're all right there. They're on every market. I find incredibly valuable for a number of things. Depending on, if you notice, this deviation mountain just kept on building and building and building. And when it got up here, it started down the other side. These are a little tough to sit through right here. But if you watched for your alchemy, it flipped right here. So anyway, I find it easier to trade with. I like confirmations. I don't want to have to depend on one thing because I might not have seen that correctly. But when I've got 2 or 3 things all telling me the same thing, then that's pretty nice. Let's see. I've got a couple of questions in here about the volume is very low in bonds, and yes, it is. I'm pretty dependent on these. Here, let me get this chart over here so you can see it. I'm pretty dependent on the Apex E's. I really like those. To me, it's like the bus is coming, and it's the bus with the E painted on the side of it. And some people are like other things a little better, but the second E in this Apex series, granted these were pretty bunchy right here, low volume. If you have your alchemy, I've got one right here. The same time when it took off of here, the alchemy was telling you to stay in this thing. And you had the trendar down here also. The volume wasn't great, but on these kinds of trades, I'm only looking for 10 ticks. So if you took this from the top of this E, or even from the high of yesterday with the E forming, if you, whatever fill you could get right in here, there were easily 10 ticks in here. So that's kind of how I do that. And then we had another question about, oh yes, we've got people, we have a lot of new people that are not real clear on how to use Jing, and they're trying to pay attention to their charts and the room and the chat and the market and what's happening. So I thought I'd take a second. This is really a cool thing. If yeah, here we go. Let's see. The best way to do this is I keep Jing. It makes a little sun thing, and you get the capture piece, and you go over here. Be sure you've got it from the upper left-hand corner all the way to the lower right-hand corner of the chart you're going to shoot, and then you capture right there. Okay, now you've got something you can work with. Let's say, for instance, that you had a question for Lori about this right here. Was this a good C's touchback sling right here? And you wanted to know. Well, you can go over here and make a color that's going to catch her attention. And you could put a little frame thing around this like this. And if you really wanted her to see exactly, if you were worried about, I don't know, the something or other, and you can put an arrow to something else, whatever it is, then you go down here to this, I don't know what this trident looking thing is right here, and it says share via screencast.com. click on, once you have it ready, this is the way you want it. And if you can name it something if you want to, it'll name itself. You can click on this and you get this uploading thing. Let me see. Then you get this right here, upload to screencast. And click on the view on screencast. Left click. Now what you have on your browser is this. So you right click in the middle of this chart, go down here to copy image address. Not the image, not the save, not the any of this link address, copy image address. And right click on that. I'm sorry, I think you're supposed to, well, I did right click and paste it right in there, and away you go. That's how you get it right in. The other cool thing that does is on your Jing, it's got 3 little arms or points or whatever out of that little half sun. One of them, if you mouse over it, it says history. And so you've got this. And it's a history of all the screenshots you've ever taken. So if you want to put certain ones in a file and reorganize them and save them to your documents or whatever you want to do, this is a really cool thing. You just kind of click on the same one we just did and get it to load again. And you've got this back again, click on it again. So it's just a super handy, convenient thing to use. I'm going to get rid of all this. We don't need this. So I hope that once I hit share, yeah, it'll paste the link wherever you want. Maybe so. I don't, all those control V's and stuff kind of, I have to do it the simple-minded way. But anyway, tomorrow morning, we're going to have some significant news numbers coming out at 8:30. So be very careful of your trading tomorrow morning at 8:30. We've got the Canadian trade balance and the labor productivity quarter over quarter for Canada, and then for the U.S. we've got there's several, and part of it has to do with the non-farm employment change. I don't know why they need to change it, and the unemployment rate, which, of course, I know this is why it's my view. That unemployment rate number they put out is a bunch of baloney. But anyway, that's just what I think. So the other thing, yesterday, I wasn't able to double check that. I haven't had time to go back and look, but usually when these markets give you a nice trend in the morning, you're going to expect chop in the afternoon, and vice versa. If you get a bunch of chop in the morning, then don't give up hope. I'm looking at YM, and yesterday afternoon, after it got through chopping around, it did have some decent trades. So I think that's about it. Tomorrow morning is the biggie at 8:30. Those news numbers are likely to cause some volatility. So, the other thing I wanted to remind you, if you've got a live funded account with NinjaTrader, they sent an email out to everybody that's telling you that effective, I think it's April 1st, they are going to start charging for the data feed to any ICE cleared markets, and the ones that we are more familiar with trading are the TF and the DX. So if you want that, you're going to have to pay for it in your live account. The demo as far as I'm aware, they will continue to support. It's just that the ICE has, uh, I don't know if it's a buyout or a merger or something, but they're doing something with the um, London LIF, I think. So it's, in other words, they're not going to provide that data for free like they have. So anyway, keep posting charts and asking questions, and especially if you're using this alchemy system, let us know what you find with that. Somebody pointed out that these upside down check marks, or in the green, this check mark right here, pretty easy to see, and they're pretty indicative of a nice trend. I know I haven't quite mastered the X's. They're not as easy for me to see, but these check marks or V's or whatever you call them, those are kind of cool. So this has been my view from my world in Apex land, and it's brought to you by Apex Investing. I'll see you tomorrow about noon.